Welcome back, everyone. This is Lambeau Leapers Live. I'm your host, Splash. As always, we're joined with Alex. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Excited to talk with you once again.
Absolutely. It's been a while. We're a little earlier than we usually are, but yeah, it's always a good time to talk about Packers football. So I've heard some Davante Adams news. What do you have for us?
So yeah, he went on had an interview with Fox News, and he's talking about obviously the Aaron Rodgers situation and everything as well. But he's also kind of talking about his status with the team in the next few years, because he is up for a deal after this year. His contract expires after this season, so people are wondering what his situation is, and obviously Aaron Rodgers, maybe his best friend on the team, has a lot to do with that. So you're talking about. It's pretty dicey, because if Rodgers were to not come back, that complicates things for Davante, and he said as much on a couple different occasions. So it's the Packers, not only if they were to lose Rodgers, risk losing their star Hall of Fame quarterback, but they also risk losing a bunch of other talented players that are mainly there because of him.
Absolutely, and we can talk all day about Rodgers or about Adams being wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, whatever. But having that star wide receiver, it helps when you have a star quarterback. Tyreek Hill isn't Tyreek Hill without Mahomes. Stephon Diggs isn't Stephon Diggs without Allen. And as good as Adams is, as clean, like he runs such clean routes, he's always open. He has a star delivering him the football. You're looking at his production probably goes down if it's Jordan Love throwing him the football, not Aaron Rodgers. And at the end of the day, if you're a wide receiver, you want your touchdowns, you want your yards, you want your catches, and any turmoil with Aaron Rodgers is fluctuating that Davante Adams stock. And if you're Davante Adams, you want that stock as high as possible.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some success definitely without Rodgers. When Brett Hundley was in 2017, he had some success for sure. Like, he was still, making the same plays that he would make with Rodgers. Obviously, the connection that those two have, it's hard to replicate. And he talked about that when asked about Jordan Love. But I definitely think that even with or without Rodgers, Davante Adams is still, I think, the league's best receiver. But obviously, when you put those two guys together, the best quarterback in the NFL, the best receiver in the NFL, it's just magic, and the connection is unreal. So it's so important to have both of those guys happy. And obviously, hopefully, they're trying to do everything it takes to keep those guys around.
Yeah, and of course, the passing game, you have lots of facets. You have the quarterback, of course. You have the offensive line. You have the receiving core. And if one of those things is shaky, we've seen across the league that, say, like Philadelphia last year, they have a shaky offensive line, hurts the quarterback play, hurts the wide receiver play. Then Wentz starts playing poorly even when the offensive line picks it up, and it's still a mess. And if you're Green Bay, they have solid receivers with MVS and the other Rodgers, Amari Rodgers, and Devin Funchess is back. But Davante Adams is really the big man on campus there with Rodgers, and then the offensive line is strong per usual. You want that triumvirate to be effective, and if Rodgers is a little shaky, that's gonna knock Adams a little off his game, potentially knock the offensive line off its game, because it's different blocking for a Rodgers, a Brady, a Breeze, as opposed to Jordan Love. Jordan Love's a total throw your arms up in the air. You have no idea, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. Like, a couple guys have said, like, they don't even want to put their mind in that space of the idea that Rodgers won't be the quarterback. But it changes the season entirely for not only the players, but just the team overall is going to look much different. The way they play, and obviously, their record will be a lot closer to 0-17 than it will be 17-0.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with everyone there, you're expecting another 13-win season like you had in 2019, like you had in 2020, and 2021. Hopefully, you win a lot of games. But with Rodgers should play. We're both in agreement that he will probably play Week 1 with the Packers, but there's a little bit of nervousness, I guess. I don't know. Maybe 1%.
Well, it's just the uncertainty, right? It's just
right.
We don't know because there's nothing on the dotted line and there's nothing, concrete. But we both feel the way we feel about Rodgers and where he'll be. I don't see him sitting out for an extended period of time. Like when you get it, maybe he sits out of training camp. I would be surprised. I think he'll show up at some point. James Jones thinks he'll be there for the first day of camp. maybe that would be a pleasant surprise. Not that it shouldn't happen. He should be there, obviously, but I just hope that they can find a way to get something done. The rumors are that they're kind of, they're going to let Rodgers kind of, enjoy his offseason and kind of, these next few weeks before camp. And then maybe they'll come together and try to do something closer to, deadline spur action. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing where you might see something going on there by the time training camp rolls around in a little closer to a month now. So, they have time and they know that. Rodgers knows that. I feel like there's not a true sense of urgency to get anything fixed right now, and that's okay. It kind of just leaves the situation. They're hoping it calms down in terms of the media. And it looks like it has over the last about 2 weeks. There really hasn't been anything concrete that we have seen or heard that, makes you think one way or another. So I think Rodgers and the Packers both would prefer that, everything stays kind of quiet and they can kind of just get this solved and get this resolved together without a ton of, media interference like we saw at different points with the draft and other things.
Absolutely. So we're going to focus more on Davante Adams for a little bit. He's on his last year of his deal. He's on a 4-year deal with the opt clause, like some sort of clause in 2021. This is the last year of his contract. And he says he's going to come to training camp with or without a new deal. What are we thinking, like ballpark estimates on that new deal? I would imagine Green Bay wants to bring back their all-pro wide receiver, though.
Yeah, it sounds like they want him back. I think they want him back, whether it's Love or Rodgers or whoever at quarterback. Like, I'm pretty positive that they're going to do everything it takes to get him back. It's going to be hard to convince him, especially if it wasn't to be Rodgers. It's going to be hard to kind of convince him to come back. I feel like, even though they'll find a way, but it will be a lot harder. He's not going to go and, take any hometown discount. That's for sure. If Rodgers isn't there, he's going to, take every last cent that they'll, offer him, and he'll demand the highest. He won't, I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere around 4 years, 100 million, something along those lines, at 25 million per year. I think you see a scenario where it's going to be closer to Hopkins, but it won't be that insane number where it's like above Hopkins. I don't think, even though Davante probably wants that, I could see him, especially if Rodgers comes back, taking a little bit lower than that number, especially in the cap crunch Green Bay's in. And, I think Davante knows what he's worth, and, that kind of number is that would be a great thing for him to get to the 100 million mark, especially with a lot of money guaranteed. I think they'll give him some bonuses and things like that. Definitely some different, milestones to hit that would increase the cap number and things like that. So those are the kind of things that we'll see in his deal. And I do think he'll be back, but the Rodgers situation plays into it for sure, as it will with many other guys, like I mentioned. A lot of guys are here to win a ring with Aaron Rodgers because they love playing with him, because he's such a great teammate and leader. You know what I mean? Like, those are the things that guys like Mercedes Lewis, other veterans, I mean, they're gonna go and try to chase money elsewhere if Rodgers were to leave, and this would happen over the course of the next few years. There's not that same incentive to stay in Green Bay when you're not competing for championships.
Absolutely, and Adams is already one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. I believe he's the second or third highest cap hit among receivers this season. So you're already paying him a lot of money. He's entering his age 29 season, so he's right in that prime. I don't see a way Davante Adams falls off the face of the earth by 32, 33. He's such a fine route runner. He's not like Julio Jones. Julio Jones is 32. I think there's a cap on what 32-year-old Julio Jones can do in terms of physicality, in terms of what he does, in terms of breaking the game. I think the jumping over Luke Kuechly in his 300-yard game, I don't think he can do that anymore. I think Davante Adams in 3 years should be able to have 95% of his current day skill set. And if you're 95% of the, I think he's the second best receiver in football. If you're 95% of the second best receiver in football, you're still going to be a top 10 guy. And Green Bay would be doing a lot of good for that franchise to bring him back, even if it's for a lot of money, because he is as impactful as it gets. Last year, he had almost 1,400 yards, 18 touchdowns. That's the most since Randy Moss in 2007, tied for the third most ever. Are you kidding me? That kind of production doesn't grow on trees.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a special player. He's special with Rodgers, the connection, like I mentioned. He's so valuable to everything they do. Because he's so versatile, he can play in every different position at the wide receiver spot. He's got such great hands. He's developed so well. Like you said, he's maybe the best route runner in the game. He's just everything about him, and he does everything the right way too. He's not, on social media like doing all these different things. He's not a diva. He's not gonna hold out like a lot of these wide receivers would. He goes about his business. He's a family man. He's just everything that you want in a Green Bay Packer. Just serious about the game. His respect level is insanely high for his coaches, his teammates, his players, and he commands that same level of respect. I mean, he is just one of those guys that you hear about and you love, you want to play with, especially if you're on another team. And he's one of those guys too, like Rodgers, that attracts some of those free agents to come and play with him. It's a whole different ball game when you're talking about guys of Rodgers and Adams level. He's just so important. You can't overstate that. So. I'm really excited to, see what he can do this year with Rodgers. Once again, they're going to try to chase a championship in the event that all is well on that front. So I'm excited for this team and what's going to happen moving forward and see if Adams can get to a whole nother level because he's continuing to improve every time he steps on the football field.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the 17th game, he might push 20 touchdowns. And then you're talking, 86 Rice? Something like that. 95 Rice, maybe. Jerry Rice had 22 touchdowns one season, and then Moss had 23 in 07. You might throw Davante Adams into the ring for most touchdowns by a wide receiver in a season, which that'd be awesome to watch.
It would. I mean, that would be, yeah. I mean, if anybody's going to do it, it's the guy that leads the league in touchdowns over the course of the last several years. Like him and Antonio Brown were at that level. I think it was close or tied at one point over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. And I know Adams definitely has that lead now. So he's definitely he's the type of guy that is a touchdown catcher. He's so great in the red zone. Guys like Julio Jones, you see their touchdown catches kind of drop off a little bit, but Adams always has those high. And that's so important when you're talking about, who's the best receiver in the league, because Adam gets it done all over the field and he's such a great target in the red zone. He's developed in so many ways. I mean, you just look at the physical picture of Davante Adams. He's so much stronger. His physique is completely off the charts compared to what it was when he entered the league, and that's the kind of work that you want to see a guy like Adams put in. He's a second round pick, and he had a lot of drop issues and things that fans wanted him cut at different points, and we're hoping that Jeff Janis would make the roster over him. And obviously that, turned out the way it did and put in the work. And he's the hardest working guy in the room. I mean, he's everything you want in a Packers receiver. And Donald Driver, he at one point had commented on a post of mine talking about, the post was, which of these guys, these great Packers receivers, whether you're talking about Greg Jennings, you're talking about Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Davante Adams, just to name some. I mean, when you're talking about that group of guys that's played with Aaron Rodgers, which of those is the best? And Donald Driver himself said it was Davante Adams. I mean, that's the kind of respect that he garners from Packers fans, legends of the game from Green Bay. He's a special, special player. Like he's just so atypical. I mean, everything about him is unique, and he brings it at the highest level each and every week.
Absolutely. And actually, while you're on the Donald Driver point, when I was younger and started getting into fantasy football, I drafted Donald Driver in maybe the second year I played. So I was a huge Donald Driver guy. And Greg Jennings had a massive season, Pro Bowl, all pro numbers, whatever. So I really didn't like Greg Jennings because he would take touchdowns and take yardage away from Donald Driver. But my man, Donald Driver, the GOAT as far as I'm concerned.
He's incredible. What a great player he was. To be able to play with Rodgers and obviously Brett Favre at the highest of levels, he's one of the greats. I mean, you talk about the Packers receivers of the Rodgers and Favre era. So many great, talented guys, and of course, we talk about the quarterbacks, how they really help to make those guys who they become. But it's definitely a two-way street. Just so much talent in the receiver room for Green Bay over the years, and it looks like they're getting back to that point now. Where they have a deep core. When you look at what they've got now, obviously Davante leading the way. they've got some really good veterans in that room now, and some young guys like Amari Rodgers. Like you mentioned, Devin Funchess as well. I'm really excited to see him go to work. MVS stepping into, hopefully a breakout year, and other guys as well that are just in that room now to help improve it. Veterans, rookies, young guys, all the above. It's one of the deeper rooms they've had in a long time.
Absolutely. So I'm going to jump back to a GOAT comment that I made about Donald Driver. So Madden teased a trailer with two goats, a big goat and a baby goat. And then out pops a Madden cover with Mahomes and Tom Brady. Walk me through what you were thinking when you saw the GOAT trailer and the whole Madden cover reveal.
Well, I don't know if Rodgers would even want to be on the cover of Madden. It's so hard to believe that he would not be approached about it over all these years. I mean, how many years has he been MVP? And would they really pass up on him this many times? He's one of the faces of the NFL. He's the best quarterback in the game as of last year, and for many years he's been that. And it's just mind blowing, and it's almost like a dig at him to put. To call it this MVP edition and call it two goats, and not have Aaron Rodgers, who is he's first of all, he played better than Mahomes last year. He's still better than Mahomes. Mahomes is in his this will be his fourth year. I don't even know how many years he's been in the league, but he's not earned enough time in the NFL to be called a GOAT, even though he's very talented. I mean, it's ridiculous. I agree. I mean, if it was Rodgers and Brady, that would be perfect, because then you've got, in a lot of people's opinion, you got the most talented of all time, and then you've got obviously the rings. He puts that on display. All he has to do is show his hands, and he's got all the rings on his hand. But Rodgers, a lot of people believe, is the most talented of all time, and that would have been the perfect cover. You've got that, but when they ignore the fact that the MVP of the NFL is not on the MVP edition of the cover, it's mind blowing. It's it's the continued disrespect that Rodgers gets from the media, from everywhere you look. He just never gets that same recognition that guys like Mahomes or Brady get, even though he does it the right way. He kind of moves in silence, and it's just one of those things that he's not. I don't think he's concerned with it. I don't think he's bothered by it. He might have turned it down. Who knows? But, when they taped – and it's not like they wanted to go with Rodgers originally and pivoted to Mahomes and Brady. They taped this stuff in April before all this Rodgers drama came about. Nobody knew anything about it, right? I mean, this isn't something that they went to Rodgers and, maybe they went to Rodgers and he said no, but they certainly didn't go to Rodgers thinking that they weren't sure what uniform he was going to be wearing or anything like that. I mean, it's just, I don't even know. It's just another example of the situation that we all understand as Packers fans about the disrespect Aaron Rodgers gets from the media.
Yeah, I do think it's strange that I get Brady. The Mahomes thing, he's been on two covers in his career. He's one of two players with Brady to be on two.
That's the least of it, right? These guys were just on covers in the past. In the past 3 or 4 years, they've both been on the cover.
It's not like, I don't know, Adrian Peterson and I don't know, Calvin Johnson, because he just got in the Hall of Fame, or I don't know. I get Brady, I get it. The Mahomes thing doesn't really sit right with me. I would have put Mahomes, or I would have put Rodgers, I would have put anybody else. And I do think it's funny that last year the Pro Bowl MVP was on the MVP edition. So there's that.
They got to make an MVP edition now with Trubisky, backup quarterback.
They absolutely got to do that.
They might as well. I mean, what's the point? You might as well just give it to.
Okay, I think Bills Mafia would really love that. If if EA really hammed it up with Bills Mafia, and you went full tailgate experience, that would be a banger of a face of the franchise.
Yeah.
Man, that'd be pretty incredible. But that got way off track. Pivoting from that, are you gonna buy Madden this year?
I don't know. I just I don't know right now. I mean, you look at the cover is obviously something that's not gonna make people thrilled, but certainly, it doesn't. The game looks better, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's who cares? I don't know. I don't really care.
I like Anthony's MVS MVP edition, or else I riot. I like that.
MVS edition, yeah.
It's like flipping a coin. Every interaction in the game is flipping a coin. It's like catch the ball, don't catch the ball. That'd be an all-time great game. All right. With that said, so of course Brett Favre was on the cover of Madden 09. That was, I think, the second Madden I played, and they had the awkward Packers cover and then the Jets cover. I don't think the Rodgers thing has anything to do with that. Right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, they filmed this stuff with Brady and Mahomes before any of this Rodgers thing came out. It was like sometime in early April when they were filming. You saw those leaked photos of Brady and Mahomes together, like on a football field. And then those ended up being the pictures that we saw on the cover, the bland cover. I miss the old designs, right? You miss the old designs of the nice looking covers. Now it's just a picture that some guy took and you just whatever. But I mean, yeah. So I don't think this has anything to do with Rodgers. I feel like I've heard him say, like, maybe years and years ago, that he never really that he didn't want to be on the cover. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe they know that he's not going to be on the cover, but I don't think this has anything to do with, his status or anything like that. It's just, we know that Rodgers hasn't requested a trade. Ian Rappaport has said that. Others have said that, to their knowledge, he hasn't formally requested a trade. If he wanted out, why wouldn't he, not only request a trade to them, but why would he not only go public and say he wants out? Like, the things that he's obviously trying to get what he wants from the Packers and stay with them for years to come. And we've been through this a million times. The media won't seem to understand it because they want that dramatic, greatest player of all time going to a new team. Like, that's what they crave. They want to talk
happened with Brady.
Yeah, they want that. Exactly. They want those kind of things that make headlines because the media is the media. They want something to talk about always. And when there's nothing to talk about, they make something up. And that's what it is with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers to the highest extent. So to me, I just don't know, where we go from here, but it's kind of been the same thing. We all feel the same way for the most part. But fans are continuing to question their loyalties and Rodgers' loyalties. I'm not sure exactly, it's Rodgers really hasn't said much, and they're ready to turn the page on him. And, there's so many things going on, but, I'm ready to just have him back in the fold and get everybody back on track. But, one thing I did want to mention was Robert Tunyon's comments from just a couple of days ago, where he talked about, the locker room feel about Rodgers, and Adams talked about this as well, where really guys aren't, talking about this situation too much. And when the way Tunyon mentioned Rodgers, and, he was asked about, preparing for uncertainty at quarterback, the idea that is it Love? Is it Rodgers? And he said, he's not even thinking about that. And most of the guys aren't thinking about the possibility of having Love as the starter. He said, until it's proven otherwise, I'm looking at the positives and what we can be with Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback. And that, to me, that's exactly what a lot of these guys are doing until there's some reason for them not to feel that way. I mean, they know what Rodgers is, and they know what this team is and how important he is to it. Tunyon is a great guy. He's, a budding star in this league. He's one of the faces of the tight end university that's going on right now with George Kittle. He's at the front of that as well. He's a great friend of him, and he's becoming a bigger star in the league each and every day. And he's been doing it on the field as well. He went from an undrafted kid, rose up the ranks of the depth chart. And now, he caught all those touchdowns last year. He had the highest passer rating when targeted by a quarterback. All those things that he's done now, almost made the Pro Bowl. Everybody came to his defense.
Should have made the Pro Bowl.
Exactly, over Evan Ingram, over Dropsy's little Dropsy guy over there.
Butterfinger.
Yep, over Butterfingers Ingram. And look, I think he should have made it too, but he's still becoming a star in this league, and he's one of the premier tight ends in the NFL now. He's stepped in that role nicely after guys like Jimmy Graham and others have kind of failed as the tight end for Green Bay. One of these undrafted kids has come out. All you need to do is catch the ball and just execute the play at a high level. And he's been a target in the red zone. He's done a lot of things, catching the ball off rollouts and play action that has been so vital for what we've been trying to do in this Matt LaFleur offense. They love him. He's got his new, second round tender deal, and I'm sure he'll be getting a contract in these coming years if he continues to keep this pace up.
Okay, first I want to go to this comment. This is hilarious. Second, Evan Ingram was just the wrong choice. Like, you could argue Kittle. I know we only played 8 games, but the production was there. It's Tonyan or Kittle. You can't go wrong with either. You can go wrong. You went at the NFL. I guess it's fan voted. The fans. Why did you vote Evan Ingram into the Pro Bowl?
He's a big name.
It baffles me. And as a Ravens fan, I know we have an awesome social media team, and we get guys that have no business being in a Pro Bowl. We get them put in the Pro Bowl every year. Giants fans, Giant social media, you take the L on this one. Oh boy. And I do want to throw it back to this comment that I actually put up earlier. We don't talk about the Kyrie trade. Just no. With that said, I love me some Robert Tonyan. He had a huge year this year, caught 10 touchdowns. And yeah, part of that's, Aaron Rodgers is quarterback and he doesn't have to be the guy because Adams is there and they have a good. I don't care. Production speaks, and say what you will about, you had Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. I get it. But when you produce on the football field, that's important. When you're converting at a high percentage or at a high clip, that matters to me. Like you said, a super high pass rating when Rodgers throws him the football. That's on him to catch those passes. Yeah, Rodgers is putting him in a good spot, but Tonyan still has to run the routes. He has to execute whatever drag, curl, whatever Matt LaFleur says, run this. Tonyan has to do that 30 times a game, 40 times a game. And Anthony, again, Ingram isn't the best in his division. I'd take Dallas Goedert 10 times over Ingram. I agree with that. You might even take Logan Thomas, although this isn't an NFC East show. I actually might need to get I need to get Chris and Cameron on the line again so we can talk about Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, with Tonyan, I mean, there's plenty of guys who have great quarterbacks and don't make those plays. I mean, Tonyan is one of the guys in Green Bay that hasn't dropped passes. I mean, you talk about MVS has dropped passes plenty of times last year, even when he had a good year. He's Green Bay's number 2 guy at this point. As of now, he's well positioned to be taking that role on as that deep threat. We saw him perform really well in the NFC Championship game, and if he can get rid of those drops, which Davante Adams has done and many other guys have, he's got elite speed, and he's played at a high level for Green Bay at many different points. Consistency is all it takes for him. But I mean, Tonyan has caught those balls, whether it's deep down the field, whether it's, like we said, the play action rollout stuff that he's converted many big third downs to save games and win games on. He's made a lot of plays. And you look at quarterbacks across the league, there's plenty of guys who don't make those plays with guys like Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson and others that, just don't make those plays. So, even though you've got a great quarterback at the helm, you still have to have guys that can make the plays. And Tonyan's one of those guys. So he's a key cog in this offense, one of the leaders in those rooms now as he's becoming a true veteran in this league. So, yeah, I'm excited for him, of course. He's one of the many guys on this offense that I'm excited about. And this team overall is so perfectly built to win a Super Bowl, even more so than last year when we thought, it was perfect. I mean, the only thing that has changed really is what the other teams across the league have done. I think Green Bay is well positioned to get back into the Super Bowl as long as, their defensive coordinator, that's one of the key elements as well. Can they turn a defense that was, in the average area, close to good last year? Can they turn that into something better in a new system with a new, defensive coordinator with all the same guys? That's the one thing. They have all the same guys, but it's a new scheme with a new defensive coordinator. Can they improve? That's going to be a tall task, but it could happen. It's happened before. Can they win a Super Bowl with a new defense? We'll see, but that's one of the key elements as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I looked up some odds. The Packers are plus 1,800 to win the Super Bowl. So for the uninitiated, that means a $10 bet would net you $180. You're going to be betting on that?
I don't bet, but if I was, this would be the time because they're concerned that Rodgers won't be there because the media obviously the media has that narrative of, Rodgers won't be back. But in the end, I think he'll be back. And then you're talking about if you catch this kind of bet early where Rodgers, he's uncertain, whatever, and then he gets back in the fold, they thrust up to the number 4, number 3 spot in the in the betting, in that pecking order for the betting odds. So I would take that bet. But once again, I don't bet. I just don't see. Betting. It's like
I just got killed.
There's never guarantees. There's never guarantees. You can never have that guaranteed money, even if you trust your instincts and you think you know exactly what it's going to be. Especially in the game of football, any given Sunday is such a true cliche. I mean, it is what it is.
I will say week 3, I did have some free money because the Packers were underdogs at the Saints and the Chiefs were underdogs at the Rams. Right? Yeah. Like, come on now. That's just free money. I wish I'd put more money on that. I got killed this weekend in baseball betting. The Packers, I'll just update everyone on the odds. They're plus 1,800 to win the Super Bowl, plus 850 to win the NFC, and minus 120 to win the NFC North. That means for every $12 you put in, you get $10 out. And they are favored. The over-under win total is 10.5. I think we're both in agreement that pound the over on that one.
Yeah, that's insane. It's the Rodgers thing. But the funny thing is that Rodgers, the odds of him to start for Green Bay week 1, those are also the favorite. I mean, that's the, the favorite is that he'll be the starter week 1. So you talk about it's really an inconsistency with the betting odds there. But once he's confirmed to be back, as long as that happens, I think those odds will all shoot up. And if you're a betting man, now is the time to take advantage of those kind of things where, they're scared to put Green Bay too high. And they've kind of got them down below without Rodgers currently as the clear starter. So
yeah, and I've even noticed this with Denver's odds. Like I think I'm with
Denver's right next to Green Bay. I think Denver's right in that range with Green Bay. At least he was a couple weeks ago.
Like I've seen Denver ahead of the Chargers, and Denver is starting Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, but I don't understand. Like I thought I think I bet $5 maybe on the Chargers at plus 450 to win the division. And I look back and now Denver's overtaken them as the second favorite. It's like, what are you doing? Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere and Drew Lock is not winning a division.
They all think he's going to Denver. I don't know.
As soon as we get off this, I'm going to throw a couple dollars on Packers over 10.5 if my bookie has that like that. Because that's I think that's free money. Like I don't like to say that, but come on, the Packers are going to win 11 games, given that Aaron Rodgers is going to start week 1. That's scary, and that 10.5 win total that I mentioned is tied for third in football. Chiefs at 12.5. That's a big number. They probably hit it, but that's a big number. Buccaneers at 11.5, and then it's a group of Packers, Ravens, Bills, Rams at 10.5. Wow, these guys have the Ravens over the Browns. Interesting. Anyways, fun times. I understand you're a little reluctant to bet. It kind of sucks. My buddy was betting on Russian table tennis at 3 in the morning.
That's a dark place. That's a dark place. You can't be there.
So funny.
That means you ran out of sports to win at. I mean, you're losing at football. It's the off season as well. Russian table tennis. That's a bad place to be. That's a midlife crisis.
He was betting on guys that had the most Russian-sounding name. He won both games. He did, but it was like he had an Alexander versus Alexander. Then he had like some random name versus like Dmitry, and Dmitry is like the most stereotypical Russian name. So he just threw $5 or whatever on those guys. With that said, we're way off topic. Is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
Not really. I mean, the thing is, at this time, there really is not much to talk about. It's more Rodgers, Davante, these guys that make headlines is really all there is. Once we get closer to training camp, there will be a lot of fun, different battles to talk about, and we'll get to go through, which will be fun. We can go through the week of camp as we go and talk about who's rising, who's falling, potential cuts. That'll be a lot of fun. But with mini camp over and not much to talk about, there really is just not a lot of topics apart from the Aaron Rodgers saga, which is at a standstill right now with no movement. So it's really just kind of looking ahead, and we've done a lot of that over the course of these last several months.
We've had 5 Aaron Rodgers themed episodes so far.
Yeah.
Something like it. Like I was looking today, it's like every episode we do is like something Rodgers. Now, like I get it, quarterback. If I did a Ravens show, I'd talk about Lamar Jackson a lot. I get it, but it seems like the focus of every show is Aaron Rodgers. So it's going to be nice in a couple weeks when camp opens up. We're going to have some new blood to talk about.
I'm sure we'll be talking about Rodgers.
Good point. Will he come? Will he? Like, oh my goodness, quarterback drama is the worst.
Yep. It is. It's
anyways.
not fun. Oh, it is not fun.
With that said, good show today. A little shorter than normal, but that's okay. So make sure you subscribe to Alex at Lambeau.leapers, correct?
Yep.
Sometimes I get it right. I usually get it right. You can follow me if you want to. I don't know why you would, but make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more banger content every Wednesday. Usually at 6. Today we decided a little early. Got some 420 plays at action. And subscribe to the channel. Follow U Stadium on YouTube or on Twitter. Follow U Stadium on Instagram. Buy your John Collins shirts. These things are flying off the shelves. I'm like I have access to U Stadium Instagram and like boom, 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 boom. It's hilarious to me. So buy those. You have merch, right? Still?
That's not on the store anymore. They were exclusive, limited edition. But we'll get more merch back.
Absolutely. You got to get that store popping.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, everybody have a nice day and peace out, folks.